When I first flew over, I saw a large white plume with seagulls buzzing around it, and it was marked exactly on the chart at that position, so I knew exactly that it was a sewage plume. My name is Jean Tresson. I'm an underwater and aerial cameraman and a marine conservation photographer, so I try and highlight issues of marine conservation to the public. This was last year in around March. I've seen it a few times before, but really started photographing them last year to show to the public. I posted it on social media and tried to get some public awareness around this. Cape Talk picked up the story and they contacted the council, who claimed it was from a passing ship. So quite often when flying over, I've noticed the plume stretching all the way to the beach and once or twice right against the beach, and the sewage will be drifting ashore basically.
The excreta of humans and animals carry a vast number of what we call pathogens. They are disease-causing organisms, and they are capable of infecting other people and spreading disease. It can range for a vast number of diarrhea, skin diseases, eye diseases, ear infections, sinus infections. A large number of these diseases are present in other human beings. They excrete those organisms along with the excreta, and that forms a pathway of infection, and other people can pick that up. If you can die from those diseases when you get it from other places, you can also die when you get it from the water. The seriousness of the disease in your body doesn't ask where it came from, and particularly some people are vulnerable to those diseases. They include children, old people and sick people.
Ocean users have good cause to worry. I'm not sure it's all that safe to be swimming, diving and surfing in that water, especially on bad days. I know kayakers that have gotten really ill doing Eskimo rolls near the shore. This is clearly a health hazard. At the moment, the health hazard is restricted to water users. So, I think for beach-goers it's still safe, but I wouldn't dig too deep down in the sand. I certainly wouldn't want my own toddler playing in the sand on Camps Bay Beach.
Killing of disease-causing organisms by seawater is certainly not instant. If that was instant, we would not have had a problem. Viruses, for instance, can last up to 6 months in seawater. We do not test for presence of viruses at all. There must be gazillions of viruses present every day in that sewage. So yes, it certainly can survive and it can build up as well. If you think of the millions of litres per day that the city has been disposing into the ocean for so long, for decades and decades now, there comes a saturation point, and we keep on thinking about the disease-causing organisms. That is true, but they are the immediate danger. The longer-term danger, which has been building up over this time, is the heavy metals and all of those chemical compounds that do not break down so easily.
These chemicals are known to bioaccumulate, and bioaccumulate means that instead of the low levels that are found in the environment, these organisms actually take them in on a daily basis and they don't get rid of them. So these compounds stay within the creature, and it's not just one compound, it's many different compounds. You can just think about your household in terms of the dishwashing and the liquid soaps and the disinfectants and the pesticides and herbicides and dyes and pharmaceuticals and coffee and painkillers, etc., that go into your waste stream every day, and all of that is reporting to the ocean undecomposed. Many of these chemicals are bad because they are endocrine disrupting, or they are carcinogenic, or they can lead to feminization of fish populations, and it will ultimately cause these creatures to die off, and not so long into the future. And there's also the food chain to think of. The small little things in the ocean get eaten by the bigger things in the ocean, and we go and eat the big things. We also are not resistant to those chemicals because we've never met them before. And if it's happening to fish, it's happening to us.
The Camps Bay outfall is really close to Maiden's Cove and really close to the beach itself. I believe the distance is supposed to be 1.3 kilometers.
The pipeline is 1.3, 1.4 kilometers long. It certainly isn't 1.3 kilometers from the nearest landfall. That, roughly estimated, is only about 700 meters from the nearest landfall, which is at Maiden's Cove. there certainly is a very good chance from 700 meters out that a lot of that sewage from time to time will make landfall.
The currents are supposed to dilute the effluent, but you cannot tell a plume of effluent to disperse immediately, and you cannot tell it in which direction to go to.
One of the cardinal rules is never to discharge that into a bay.
It's right within the bay. When you're flying over, you get a really good visual picture of exactly where it is, and it's completely in a retention zone in the bay. The plume has no chance to get washed out.
A bay is a semi-enclosed body of seawater. The turnover of fresh seawater there is not nearly as much as the open ocean. There are currents and eddies, and some of them make landfall under different weather conditions. So the city relies on the fact that it works like an open ocean, and it doesn't.
It is spreading into that marine reserve, and all the creatures that we're trying to protect there will ultimately be harmed by this effluent because it's so full of toxic chemicals. It's absolutely foolish because we're destroying our marine reserve, and we will be allowing toxic compounds to accumulate in crayfish and in fish and in all the other little marine species that make that area a marine reserve and worth protecting. I don't think one should be eating crayfish these days, you know, when you think that most of them are bottom feeders and they're feeding off whatever junk they find down there. And for sure, if there's sewage there, there are going to be chemicals there, and they will be accumulating those chemicals into their bodies.
Assuming that the sea will act like a delete button and it will just wipe the stuff out and make it go away is not in keeping with what we have observed and what we know. That is a very high lot of sewage. People would be aware that that stuff has been strewn all over the beach. And don't forget that what we have here in the database is actually open ocean values.
The blue flag status of Camps Bay Beach is a tricky question. The testing is done during a very short window when the summer southeaster is blowing the bulk of the plume offshore. Personally, I cannot see how you can get blue flag status with a sewage outlet right in the bay. One of the criteria for obtaining blue flag status is having a pollution and sewage free beach, and that most certainly is not the case in Camps Bay.
The pipeline has been in operation since 1977. Which is a long time, and the area that it serves has grown enormously in size, and it has densified for far more people and far more activities carrying both microbiological and chemical pollution, but it's still the same pipeline.
The problem is only going to get worse with time. As the population increases exponentially, so the sewage is going to keep track, and in 5, 10, 15 years time, we're going to still be putting the sewage in the sea in ever greater volumes unless we start now building alternatives.
Well, I think we each need to take responsibility about our everyday actions, and it would help so much if the supermarkets and other grocery chains would put on their shelves the kind of biodegradable detergents that are available so that you actually can make choices.
I'd be happy if one can at least start with a preliminary treatment. Even if you can't remove all of the contaminants before you pump it out, simply to try and reduce it. There are packaged plants available that can help reduce some of this, but we only point I see emphasized all the time is what we can't do.
is time to act right now. We need to be building treatment works, at least preliminary or secondary treatment works, and putting those in place now.
And I have a great motto in life that says, do what you can, where you are, and start now.